Hey guys, my name's Harrison. I'm one of the co-founders of Blate Co, and today we're going to show you how to use your Blate Papes properly. Okay, so when you're using Blate Papes, the first thing to be aware of is that there are two types of powder. You have plant matter, any type of herb, mushroom powder, kratom. Then you have quick dissolving dense powders, which are like pre-workout powder, citrulline, creatine. It's very easy to understand the difference between the two. One's usually like a plant matter and slow dissolving. The other one's quick dissolving and heavier. If you need to do a quick test to figure out what type of powder you have, it's very simple. You just take a little bit of powder, drop it in the water. If it floats, you have the less dense greens powder. And if it dissolves instantly and drops down, well, then you have the heavier, dense, water-soluble powder. The first two methods that we do are gonna be using the Herbal slow dissolving powder. You have two types of Blate Papes, pouches and squares. They both work the exact same way, except one of them is already in a cone shape, quick to fill, and it's narrow for swallowing. And this one just has to be rolled and folded into a narrow shape before you swallow. We'll show you how to do both. So we're gonna start with the pouches. When you get a new set of pouches, it comes with a spoon for the powder, and an instruction sheet and set of stands. So go ahead and read through this in the warnings. And to use it, you're just gonna fold it and rip it apart. And it's two stands. I like to leave one at home and then leave the other one in the case to take with me. Fold it and follow the instructions. Put the two pegs into the slots and then press it upwards. And that's the stand right there. Before touching the papes, ensure that your hands are not wet. Make sure they're completely dry, you don't have any sweat or moisture on your hands. To take a pouch, make sure that you only have one, and you just put it into the pouch stand. We recommend always using a scale so you know exactly how much powder you're putting in your pouch. It's optional, but recommended. Now, when you're using these, it's important to start small because everyone has different limitations. You know, maybe a half gram to a gram at first to get a hang of how to use them. Then you just use the spoon. I like to pick this up. That's how you fill your pouch. If you're gonna fill a square, it's basically the same thing, except you're gonna lay it flat on your scale or flat surface. Make sure there's no water there. It's right there in the center. And you can fold these really any way you'd like. The most basic way is just kind of fold it up, bring in the sides like that. And it kind of looks up. You can just try to twist it off like that. There are quite a few different ways to do it. You can fold it like a burrito, really whatever you're comfortable with. Just make sure that the end shape is narrow and that all the powder is enclosed. Now for using the slow dissolving plant matter type powder, there's two methods. First is the dip method. You're gonna want a cup of water. You're just gonna dip it halfway for a few seconds until it's nice and soft. Don't get your fingers wet. You're gonna put it in your mouth and then you're gonna take a sip and swallow it with more water. Just like that. Now we're gonna do the same method with the pouch. It's gonna be the exact same thing. We're just gonna pick it up and we're gonna fold the top shut. So you can see this right here, up here. You're gonna fold all of that down so that it's fully enclosed, and then this little edge, we're gonna fold it in. We're gonna hold it just like that. When we dip this halfway, it's gonna soak and seal shut and make sure that the powder's fully enclosed in the gel. Then right after we do that, we're gonna wait a couple seconds and then we're gonna put it in our mouth and swallow it as normal, with more water, of course. It's important to make sure your fingers don't get wet because if they do, there's a chance that it could stick to your fingers. And that's it. The second method is gonna be called the float method. And I'll show you how to do it with both the pouches and the squares. So just like the other method, we're just gonna fold it the same exact way. Fold it halfway down and then across, just like that. Dip it halfway, and then as soon as it's sealed, like 1 second or so, we're gonna drop it into the water and let it float. Dip halfway, don't get your fingers wet, and you're just gonna see it just floating there. Now there's a couple ways you can do it from this point. You can grab a spoon with it, and just be careful to make sure that you don't rupture the sides as you do. You can just put it in your mouth and swallow it with more water. Just like that. Same thing with the squares. We're just gonna fold it up, twist it, or however you want to do this. This is just one of the ways. And you're gonna dip it halfway again, let it gel, and then let go. And it's gonna be floating there. And once it has like 5 seconds, 10 seconds or so, it's gelled up enough to get soft. Poke it to the side a little bit, make sure not to rupture it. And then just let it flow in your mouth and swallow as it's flowing in. And it goes down very easily and you don't taste anything. So the third and final method is to show you how to use the quick dissolving powder. So when taking very dense water-soluble powders, the difference between the two types of powder is that this takes a lot less time to fully gel. So you don't want it to gel up so quickly and then dissolve apart before you're able to swallow it. So that's why we suggest using this method. So what you're gonna do is, you're gonna fill it up, and then you're just gonna lick across the top lightly. You're gonna fold it down, and lick this little part right here, and fold it into itself. Same thing as the other methods, it's just that it's pre-sealing it, right? So once it's pre-sealed, you're gonna make sure that your mouth isn't dry. You take a sip of water. You're gonna place this in your mouth, and then you're gonna take a sip of water and let it soak in your mouth for 1 to 2 seconds until it's nice and soft. And as soon as it's soft in about 2 seconds, you swallow the water and the Pape together. It looks like this. I like to shake my head a little bit to kind of move the water around. And then as I go to swallow it, I kind of throw my head back a little bit and it hits the back of my throat and swallow. It makes it very easy to swallow the powder. Just like the pouches are going to do the same thing with the squares. With the denser powder, remember this is highly water-soluble dense powder. We're just going to fold it up, and then you're just going to lick the top extra part and then seal that shut. It's a little bit of moisture and pressure. And I like to just kind of twist it and make sure there's no powder exposed on the sides. Just like with a pouch, same exact thing. Put this in your mouth, take a sip. Shaking your head a tiny bit helps the water kind of get around and make sure that it fully gels. Now we're gonna go over a few common problems that people seem to have when using the Papes. First, if your Pape is dissolving too quickly, please be aware of what type of powder you're using, because it's very possible that if you're using this dense, quick dissolving powder, you could be using the wrong method for the powder. So you don't want to use the fill and dip method or the float method with the dense powder, because it will dissolve too quickly and it won't work. If you're using the right type of powder and it's still dissolving too quickly or ripping apart somehow when you put it in your mouth, well then you want to make sure there's no holes, like your hands aren't wet when you're using it, it's not causing any holes, and that when you're folding it up, there's no powder exposed. Because if there's powder exposed, there's a chance that when you put it in your mouth, well, you could still taste it or it could rip open too quickly. When you go to dip it in water, make sure that your fingers don't get wet, because this is something that people might not realize. When they dip it in water and put it in their mouth and they go to let go, it could stick to your fingers and cause a rip, and then it's ripped open in your mouth and you gotta taste that bitter stuff. If it's still dissolving too quickly, you could use cold or ice cold water. It will slow the time it takes for the Pape to gel up. And the same is true for the opposite. So if it's dissolving too slowly, you could use a little bit warmer water or room temperature water, and it'll dissolve a little quicker. If your Pape is falling into your stand, if you're using the pouches, well, what we suggest is just make the hole a little smaller. Just kind of push it in together like that, and then it won't fall in. This only happens when the powder is super dense, like the quick dissolving powder, and it's so heavy that it pulls the pouch down. Some people have asked about using oils. Although these weren't made for using oils, there is a way to do it. This is the only time we'll ever suggest this. Use 2 pouches at once. This is a video showing how that works. So you put 2 pouches together, put the oil in here, and just only put a little bit, don't put too much. Then you use the float method. You pour the oil in, you fold up the top, and you quickly dip it in water and then drop it and let it float. And then you can just use a spoon or swallow it. When storing your Papes, make sure that you don't store them in any place where there's a lot of moisture, because they can stick together. Humid environments are okay. It's not gonna be bad if you live in Florida or a tropical environment, that's totally fine. But you don't wanna keep it anywhere where there could be steam or moisture could get in there. For example, if you use them in the bathroom and there's steam coming in, If they get wet, well then they could stick together because they do attract moisture very easily, and they could gel up and then it could be ruined. So just make sure you store them in a cool, dark place, and that when you're using them, your hands are completely dry. I'd just like to reiterate, never double up your Pape. If it's dissolving too quickly, review the methods we explained for fixing that, but never double your Pape. These were designed to be used one at a time, and they're a very specific thickness. Now when you dip this in water, it will gel up perfectly. If by chance you took too much and it got stuck in your throat, it might be a little scary, but it will break apart. If you double that up, they could become a larger choking hazard because they're not meant to be used in that manner. So just please be aware, never use more than one Pape at a time. If you're having any problems using just one, you can reach out to us or just refer to this troubleshooting video. But you shouldn't have any trouble using your powders with just one Pape at a time. And that's pretty much it. That's how you use Blate Papes. There are 3 methods, and there's 2 types of powder for those methods. Just make sure that you know what type of powder you're using and you know which method to use for those powders. If you need a reference, you can always look on the stands that you have. They'll explain how to do it. But if you're having any trouble more than this video can help you out with, you can always reach out to us. We'll be more than willing to help you. Thank you so much and enjoy using your Blate Papes.